afternoon, everybody, and welcome in. A little late getting to you on this Monday. That's my bad, but we're ready to go. Here's Scar. Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine, is here. He's ready to go. Scar, sorry about being a few minutes late. You know, we had the internet down here in Livingston County, Washtenaw County, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. You know, it's going to be like it was time to rough it. You know, get some candles and a book, and I mean, power was on, just no internet, so it was tough.
You don't miss, man. You're a reliable guy, man. You know, when you made 20 practices at Michigan in spring football, if you made all 20, you got the shit pounded out of you for 20 practices. They gave you a nice little T-shirt at the end of the spring ball. You made 20. Hey, speaking of T-shirts, you read that shirt?
I see that it's maize and blue. It's who's got it better than us? There you go.
Nobody.
Okay, where'd you get that one from?
I don't know. Somebody gave it to me, man. But I heard that line from old Jack Harbaugh 40 years ago.
Well, it was a good one. It worked. It stuck. You know, Harbaugh had a lot of sayings, but you know that one really stuck.
That one, and then an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I heard that one 40 years ago too from the old man.
Yeah, I remember when he was back at Stanford, he was throwing some different. I remember saving them on my work email, and there were a couple in there. I don't actually remember what they were now, but they were there. So
I remember going to see. He was coaching at Western. I remember going to see a game up there when I was young and not playing. I think my freshman year we went up there. But anyway, yeah, life is good, Denny. We got some film later on, some things happening. Couple recruits out there in the mix.
That's what we're thinking about. All right. I want to tell everyone that you are watching the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. That's Jim Scarcelli. I'm Dennis Fithian, and brought to you by Rivals.com. And we got something good going on over at the Maize and Blue Review. You can be a part of it. All the recruiting, the stories, everything there. You join up by going to michigan.rivals.com to get that done. We look forward to seeing you over there. So, Scar, so what jumped out to you over this weekend? Is anything college football, anything sports-wise?
Well,
anything?
I just, you know, I look at a couple things. I was listening to Trent Dilfer kind of whining. You know, listen, man, you're in that league he's at UAB, and you compete in that league, you know, Texas, El Paso, and San Antonio, and all the Tulsa, and whatever the league those guys are in. But, you know, he's whining about NIL, saying, you know, the scheme, I got to adjust my scheme based on how much money I can get. But, Denny, that's coaching, man. You know, you got to find a way to win and out-coach people and not have a scheme that demands that you have a certain type of talented, big, you know, athletic dudes. The great coaches find a way to win with average players, and you coach, you make them good because you take average guys and make them good. You make good guys and make them great. And I just was listening to him whine, and then I'm thinking, Army won that league, Denny. Army, or maybe I think Army won that league. You think they got any NIL money? They got nothing. They win with scheme. So, I just want to get back to understanding that, I get it. Everybody wants to know about money, and money's pretty damn important when you're at a high level and you've got a lot of good, you're all competing with good coaches, but you still got to out-coach people, man. You got to out-scheme them. You got to out-fool them. And I'm hoping, because I think we did it with Wink. We did it on one side of the ball. The second half of the year. Now we got to do it on both sides of the ball and the special teams like we've been doing the last, 4 years. We didn't just always have the best players. You got to out-coach people too. So I just wanted to comment on basically telling Trent Dilfer, go coach, man. Scheme it up, fool people. Be better.
Yeah, and there's one thing that Michigan has a chance to do each and every year. They might not have the best talent, but they have good talent. So if you can coach and you can put that together, you're onto something there. They have something going. When you get to August and they'll come out with the preseason top 25, there'll be a lot of people that will get upset and say, well, these these writers don't know what they're talking about. These coaches don't know what they're talking about. The polls are meaningless until October or November. Then there'll be somebody that'll say it only matters what the final poll is. And, whatever, you argue about that. But they do have a system where the how many ever coaches are voting and how many ever members of the media. And, you hope, I don't know, you say you trust, but you have enough people that you're, whatever it is, 50. I don't even know how many people are solicited to put together their top 25, but it's not just one person. But in May, you just have different people just putting out their own single top 25s or rankings and it's a time to just get people riled up, that they had Sharon Moore ranked 14th in the Big Ten on coaches.
People had him ranked.
One guy had.
They were ranking the quality of the coach or the program.
Best coach in the Big Ten, which is tough.
Yeah,
it's tough because Sharon's had 1 year.
Yeah, he's only had 1 year. I mean, it's
and he went 8-5, but people were really upset. And I said, well, it's not that. It wasn't that big of a hit job. People were laughing, but then, the Michigan fans, and it's fine to do. I mean, this is, I guess, what May is about. And I'd kind of forgotten about it because I said, well, he went 8-5. There's a lot of the coaches, like Luke Fickell, for example. I mean, he's the only coach that ever took a non-Power 5 team to the playoff, and that was kind of impressive. Or Matt Rule, what he did where was he at Temple and Baylor? He was pretty good before Nebraska, and had some Michigan fans upset. And then the thing that I was not thinking about is that there were the Michigan fans saying, "Hey, Sharon Moore's he's 2-0 against Ohio State. He's 1-0 against Penn State because those 3 games that he coached in 23 for Harbaugh." Giving him credit, and I'm not ready to argue and say, hey, he deserves no credit for coaching those games. Although, you're not just giving him 1/7 of the credit for being the head coach, but Harbaugh was the coach, Sunday through Monday. And then Sharon, I would at least give him, half credit for doing that if you're trying to be fair. But I don't know if people want to be fair or they just want to argue. So whatever.
Yeah, that's what, Denny, that's what a lot of the reporters and the stories are about, is just to incite conversation. And
yes, good point.
Listen, the jury's still out. He's this would be this would be his team, and he's got his quarterback situation a little better. Keen is supposed to be throwing now, right? From what we hear.
Yes, that's right.
So he's got a 2-year starter. Kid started 24 games. He's got the highest recruited quarterback. We got talent at every position. We're better offensively at a lot of positions. And let's forget about all that. Evaluate. It's too early to evaluate. Let's just win, man. But,
it is too early. But let me throw one thing at you, and I thought it was interesting because I look at that Oklahoma game, and I know that Johnny Mateer, because Michigan, before they got Bryce Underwood, you were thinking that they would be looking in the transfer portal for a quarterback, and the top player, he was again a ranked Mateer from Washington State. I watched some film of him, and man, he looked great. Again, they were highlights. It wasn't a 1 or 2 minute thing. I watched 10, 20 minutes of him. He's impressive. And you see different. Greg McElroy for ESPN said he's the second best. He was ranking all of the quarterbacks in the country, and had Cade Klubnik at Clemson number 1, and he had Mateer number 2. And then there's this guy who does podcasts, who's very popular. I've never watched one himself. I don't have anything against him or for him, but I just know a lot of people cite him. His name's Pate. And he did a top 25, and he had Oklahoma inside his top 10. And I thought, I understand that. If you're looking at Mateer, and they got this running back from Cal who's, he's been productive. He was hurt, but so they got 2 real good players that are coming in there. That it's more than quarterback or running back, but that's not something outlandish to see, and especially in May, that Oklahoma would be in someone's top 10. And again,
I give Venable credit. He did hire the offensive coordinator at Washington State, so he's got the coordinator and he's got the quarterback. So, these guys know how to work together. They know each other. So, maybe he needed to get the coordinator to help get the kid, You know how that package deal, but listen, man. Our kid, Mikey Keene. I seen the Washington State kid play. I seen Keene play. They're pretty similar guys. You know, let's. Who's got the better running game behind them? Who's got the better offensive line, the better defenses? Again, it's scheme, man. Let's coach them up. Let's do a better job with all the other things. But yeah, the kid he's an accurate, athletic kid. The kid that we're going to face at Oklahoma. So he's not a stiff.
Right. That's just a good thing to scratch in May. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, but as far as rankings, you want to try to rank the Big Ten teams. Listen, Denny, I did it. I could have done when I was coaching high school football. I had a good idea how teams were going to be based on what was coming back from all of their teams. Sure. Of course, you always look at quarterback, defense, offensive line, and but sometimes things get out of whack. You don't always know. And
well, in high school, you got familiarity with the coach, and you got a familiarity with the scheme, just like in college. I mean, if you know the coach and you know the scheme, and you know that he gets pretty good players, you pretty much know what you're in store for, right?
Yeah, but you don't always know, man. My freshman year, Denny, we were the number 1 ranked team in the country. We finished 9-3, man. Ended up going to the Blue Bonnet Bowl. My 5th year, we weren't even ranked because we were 6-6 the year before. They went on that previous year. We were not even ranked. Finished number 2 in the country. So, good luck with. I mean, listen. You can make educated guesses though based on quarterback, is he back? Offensive line back. Some key positions back. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like it. I like where you're coming from. What else?
Well, Denny, I read Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles had some under the, some subtle statements about Ohio State. And it sounded like, and I understand this as a coach. I've been a position coach, a coordinator, head coach. When you lose or you're starting to lose or things aren't going good, sometimes the head coach will panic and he'll start micromanaging. You know what I mean? Now the head coach is going to watch all the different position groups more, or the coordinators, what they're doing more, and start getting in there, sticking his nose in there. It sounded like that's what was happening in Columbus after the Oregon loss, that Knowles was seeing a little more Ryan Day in his defensive meeting room, and it didn't really sit real well with him. We lost, whatever. So I understand that. And it's a fine line as a head coach, when things aren't going well, how much do you start sticking your nose in there? I mean, we heard about Dave Brandon, the AD, coming into meetings. Remember, we heard that about him when he was the athletic director. So you don't want that. But anyway,
we can spend a whole show on Dave Brandon. I like it with Knowles. I mean, that's and if you go from a defensive coordinator from Ohio State, defensive coordinator at Penn State, after you win a national championship, I would look at that as a step down, not as a lateral.
But Danny, there's a comfort level. It's like again, I've been a coordinator, okay, and I've worked for guys that loved working for, and other guys were maybe a little difficult. And if I'm making the same kind of money, and if I love coaching football and I'm making good money, a couple of dollars more here or there, I'd rather work for a guy that I love working for.
That makes sense.
I'm happy every day. I'm not looking over my shoulder. I don't got somebody, micromanaging me. Let me go to work and get the hell out of here. And that's how I coached. I never called a play once as a head football coach. I let my offensive guys call plays. I never stuck my nose in there. You got to let guys work, man. And anyway, it sounded like that's good. I like hearing that Ryan Day might not be the best guy to work for. That's good. Maybe he'll have more turnover and make more chaos, and we'll keep beating them up.
Yeah, and look, that's good. Not good if you're I would say maybe it doesn't matter if you're an Ohio State fan. It wouldn't be good if you were a Michigan fan and you lost your defensive coordinator to one of your rivals. I mean, that would – but sitting back, it makes for an interesting story.
Yeah, we got them every year, Denny. I want them screwed up. I want guys leaving there. We don't play Penn State every year. I'd rather have dysfunction in Columbus than dysfunction at Penn State.
Well, Penn State and Ohio State play this year, so I'm sure the Knowles Card will be getting played quite a bit.
We ain't going nowhere. Ohio State's on our schedule. We ain't avoiding them. They ain't no year off for them. So
no, that's it. Every year.
I'd rather have some dysfunction there.
I liked it.
Danny, there's a kid that Michigan's recruiting. I looked at his film. Kid named Carter Meadows, 4-star kid, big 6'6", athletic kid. He's from D.C., Ohio State, Penn State, South Carolina. Everybody wants this kid, and I look at him and I understand what it gets back to what coaches. I remember hearing guys say they don't really care about technique so much as a high school kid. I can teach a kid to tackle or to use his hands, and I totally understand that. You can teach guys technique. How to take on blocks, how to play double team, how to drop and cover and all this other stuff. So I looked at the kid, and he is a big, but with the things you can't coach, this kid has. He's 6'6", he's fast, he's athletic, and he's tough. So that's what I saw from that kid. I see him as I can totally understand why he's a 4-star kid. He showed toughness. And, he could be I'm trying to think of a big 6'6" kid who we've had at that, like a Michael Morris, maybe only even a little more athletic ability. That type of kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's that type of a kid with maybe a little more athletic ability and speed. And so that was pretty good. Michael Morris had a good career. So hopefully we can get that kid. I looked at him and, a lot to work with there.
I'm looking at his offer sheet. Georgia, Florida State, Penn State, Michigan.
Yeah, so he's he goes anywhere he wants.
Yeah, Michigan. There's a forecast in for him, and it says 60% chance at Michigan. So they're right in there in the mix with him. So
well, good. So somebody's doing a good job there.
There you go. I like it.
I don't know what else is going on, Denny. I got some film from the spring game. Do you have any?
Yeah, I wanted to tell everyone that we will look at the spring game, and thanks to Quick Cut Video and Analytics, you want to analyze and break down film like Scar? Go to Quick Cut. QWIKCUT. Video and Analytics. Quick Cut. Thank them for the chance to analyze the spring game, and thanks to you, Scar, because you worked real hard to get it going, to get the spring game up and talking about it a little bit. I want you to just give a word, because there's some people that I know I found it a little bit fascinating. All spring practice, we don't get to see them, and maybe some former players like yourself or coaches, they'll go down there and get to watch a practice or something, but you're depending on a place like the Maize and Blue Review to give you some tidbits about what's going on in practice. And then you had the game, and it wasn't played on TV till the following week. Well, there was only so many people that went to the game, and I found that there wasn't as much, that there didn't seem to be as much interest in the spring game, even though you had Bryce Underwood. I thought there would just be more interest in it. You had a lot of people saying, it doesn't matter, nothing matters with the spring game. And I was thinking, wow, what's everybody doing? Of course you don't, it doesn't mean everything in the world, but it means, you watch a player and you break down the film. You had any thoughts there before we go?
Benny, Michigan has never really had, like Nebraska will sell out their spring game. We've never had that kind of, 60, 80,000. But we had one of the best crowds we've had. I think I would kind of disagree with that to an extent, because I think we had one of the biggest turnouts we've ever had at a spring football game. They said there were almost 50,000 people there. I mean, there were more there than any time I remember playing in it. So I don't know, but
good point. And it wasn't on TV.
But
I think the point to that is that there were. I think people may just want to rely on the experts, and maybe not I always thought that they would be, interested for themselves, to be able to look at some things and be able to determine stuff. But there was so much from the people that went, and you were able to, maybe for 24 or 48 hours to look at what everybody had to say. And then by the time it was on, everybody's like, well, this was already been talked about. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I saw Martini had a comment about Vince Dooley was coming to meetings when Mark Richt was coaching, and Mark Richt threw him out. That's interesting. I wouldn't really care. My superintendent used to come to practice all the time. Principal, they weren't, I didn't really care. They weren't like evaluating me. They weren't telling me what to do. But I guess it depends on your confidence or whatever how you feel about that. But anyway,
well, Scar, you got to remember Gene Hackman in Hoosiers. When he took over the job, they were all in there, and the mayor and everybody was in, and he said, "Guys, this is a closed practice." And they got all up. They started looking at each other and saying, "This guy's crazy." And then the guy of Jimmy Chitwood, I think's dad said, "Hey, he's got a point. Let's all close up the doors."
No, I tell you, Danny, as long as if you're part of the school and you're like in that type of a position and you're off to the side and you're not distracted in anything, you're just there. I wouldn't give a damn. I wouldn't care as a coach.
Me neither.
Yeah. So whatever. Anyway, let's get on this special teams here. This is important. You're looking at this stuff. Denny, I was on both sides of this thing as the punt protection and then the punt return. And you got to do a good job coaching this. Your punt team, you go from being an offensive protector to within an instant being now a defensive player. So I'm watching some of these guys here. This is how you get a job in the fall. Then you do a good job here. So you want to punch the guy as an offensive guy. You got to protect real quick, and then you count in your head. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, and then you cover because that's the punch should be off. And now you got to get away from the guy as a punt protect coverage guy. But the defensive guy is trying to keep you from running down the field. So anyway, I was just taking a look at it, watching it. And we got to have guys that can catch it, man. Here's zero out here. I wonder how this fair catch, and this is the thing, Danny, you got to look at this fair catch if you're covering the punt. Watch his arm. You're down here in blue covering.
Yeah.
And you got to try to get off a block and at the same time know that arm went up, and watch how fast and quick that arm goes up. Just for a split second. You know what I'm saying? And that's why sometimes you have guys hitting the punt return guy because they didn't see it, because you're covering the punt, you're covering the punt, and you got a guy over here trying to block you, and so you're looking at this, you're looking at him, and you get that quick arm, but you got to catch the punt. Just want to look at it. Special teams are so damn important. Okay, this is 13 out here. Big receiver, did some good things in the game.
McCulley.
Yeah, looking at this two tight end formation. We're in our base defense. What I've noticed is Nichols is a guy that Wink has dropped a lot. See, when I was playing, you always had, and this defense is exactly the same stuff. Moore is not a guy you want to drop. He's a bigger kid, 265-pound kid. But Nichols, at least in this scrimmage, was doing a lot of dropping. So that was just interesting to know that they feel you might see him more of a drop guy. But you want to be able to rush and drop both of these guys because the defense doesn't want to know which guy is dropping, which guy is rushing. Anyway, I question number 2 here on this drop, but this is a formation I'm looking at, 2 tight ends, shotgun. There's no reason you should be offsides on defense against our team. You should know the cadence of you've been looking at these guys for 15 practices. You should not be offside against our team. So that's actually a good thing for Jaden Davis. But this is a nice throw. And I don't like this drop from this freshman out here. 2 is the freshman. What's his name?
2 for the blue is Shamari Earls.
Yeah, I don't like this drop. His drop has got to be in the flat. He's a little slow. He doesn't get the width. He's lost. He's a flat player, and he should be dropping, Denny. He should be dropping back in here. And he's too far over here. And that ball is thrown right where he's supposed to be. So he'll learn. I see Rock and Rod Moore here getting people fired up. See him over here, Denny?
Yeah,
Number
this
9.
is kind of, no, this is the first time. I'm watching this for the first time. I did not see Rod Moore over there on the sideline. Yeah.
So he's getting them fired up. He's a factor. We're in our base defense again. Nichols is off in coverage. Well, it appears like it, but this is what Wink does. It looks like you're in coverage, but then on the snap of the ball, he'll bring him. He's a physical kid. But this is, I tell you, Jaden Davis, this kid is gonna, he might be a kind of kid that he's gonna be okay, man. He doesn't have the quickest feet, but he throws a pretty damn good football. I saw him as a freshman at practice last year, and he's an accurate kid, man. He's not the biggest kid, and he looks like he's gotten a lot stronger. But this is a laser beam, accurate pass, short pass, good tackle. But that's O'Leary. 81 is O'Leary, right?
Yes, correct. Sorry.
Here we are, one back. And I don't really like this adjustment, but we're disguising here. Again, it looks like 33 is off in coverage. And if you look at it just before the snap, it doesn't look good. I don't like that this guy has an angle, Danny. I don't like a defense where your contained guy is inside of a tackle. You follow me?
Yeah, I do.
That's not good for containing the defense. Now you're either going to have to bring him or loop him out, this tackle out, but it's harder, or bring a backer. But just from looking at it pre-snap, I don't really like it. But that's why Wink understands what he's doing. He's disguising, and then on the snap of the ball, he's going to bring this guy up. Watch how he sneaks in. Then we're going to slant the defense to the right. You see how he's doing that, Denny?
I do.
Yeah, so it looks like, pre-snap, you don't know what we're in. We could be slanting left and bringing him and dropping him. But now we're slanting right, and we're bringing him, and we're going to drop him. Anyway,
it's a spring game too, Scar. If you're sitting out there and you got an experienced quarterback, I mean, that's what it's about. You could look over there and say, "Wow, let's run something right at this guy. We've got him sealed."
Denny, the defensive coach doesn't give a damn about who's in the game, this, that, whatever. Now he's throwing stuff at his defense to see who's smart. Let's adjust right. Let's do what we do, and this is what Michigan does on defense: is we confuse people, we disguise, we scheme. And this is a good disguise here. I like how this play, you look at it pre-snap. I don't like the adjustment here. People would want to run the football here. If they want to run it, they might want to run it here because they got a down block here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But Wink has it, Wink is showing. Don Brown did a lot of this, Denny. Don Brown would show a front that
hoping that they would check into something, and then
he would really, really bait you into seeing a front that looked bad at one point of attack. And then on the snap of the ball, he would totally, slant there and protect what looked like it was a weakness. So Wink is kind of, I like this. This is why we're good. We don't just line up, Trent Dilfer. It ain't always about having the best players. You got to fool people too, man. Anyway, the result of this play. Anyway, I see the adjustment. I question it. Anyway, the result of this play is it's not, we're not on the same page with the running back and quarterback. It's not, you look at it and say it's a bad pass, but these guys, they're not on the same page. He thinks he's going to be cutting up and he's flaring out more. So this is just a repetition thing. They just got to play more. Pre-snap movement. Again, I like this stuff from our defense. Watch all the movement, Denny. This is a shotgun formation. So I just like some of this stuff. Where are we coming? We coming left? We coming right? Backers are coming? No, we don't know. This stuff is coached. See all this stuff? It matters. It helps confuse the offense. And it's not, these guys just don't have the freedom to do it whenever they want. It's part of the call defensively. I'm looking at these two tackles here. I kind of like the big freshman at the top. I mean, you could see this kid is a big athletic kid. He's not the strongest right now, what's his name? The 5-star?
Babalola.
Yeah, you know, you watch him here. Who's he going against there?
Let's see if we can get a look at it.
What number is that right there?
I'm looking. I can't tell.
Yeah, it's hard for me to tell. I got a smaller picture than you. But down here on the bottom, you see more down here cleaning up on this guy. Who is this tackle right here on the bottom? Can you see his number? See, that's not very good. You see he's setting too deep. You see Babalola get a nice low base. You know, this is technique, athleticism. Babalola has a little, you know, he's not going against Moore also, you know. So he has a little better base. His set is better in the proper position. This kid down here, I think, is setting too deep. And when you set too deep, you know, if you get too deep, the guy will just bull rush you. If I ever felt the tackle setting too deep, close to the quarterback, I'm just going to try to bull rush him and get into the quarterback's face. And I think Moore feels that. That's why he's just, you know, he's just slamming that dude. Can you tell what number that is?
I can't, but it's coming down where it didn't look like a 6 that Connor Jones looks. So I'm thinking that's either Norton, Gatch, or Frazier over there on the right side.
Gatch is a guard. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to know who that was.
76 could have been Connor Jones.
Yeah, this dude was this guy. All this guy did was everything I want in a running back. He secured the ball. He makes guys miss, and he'll run you over, man. I met him, man. Denny, he's short, man. He's only about 5'7".
He's a superstar.
And just a great kid, but yeah.
Everything you want. That's a Michigan guy right there. Everything you want.
I want him on my team as a running back.
Yeah.
As a defensive player, you know, he ain't putting the ball on the ground. But
no.
He's gonna secure it, he's gonna make guys miss, and then he's gonna run you over too if you need to be.
No, he's the kind of guy who come back and be on the coaching staff when he's done playing.
Yeah, he'd be a great coach. I was questioning what we did on both sides of the ball here. We look confused on defense, but these are the things these coaches are looking at, man. You don't want to be the competition is so tight, you can't make mental mistakes. See how we're confused here? We look confused on defense. Yeah, we're screwed up here. There's something here. Anytime you have two guys in the same gap, Denny, anytime you have two guys in the same gap, there's a conflict. There's confusion. And we don't have anybody containing. So, you know, there's a mental breakdown there. And luckily, the offense is kind of jacked up too, because I don't like this. I don't know what kind of route this is.
I think they might have been trying to set something up downfield here again, but it wasn't there.
You know, this kid's ability to run will it'll be on display when it's live bullets and we get him in a football game. That's where you're really going to see a difference. His ability.
I agree. He might have been able to take that one.
For he picked up 6 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
This linebacker here, Cole.
Cole Sullivan. Yeah.
Yeah. I just see a kid. I can see what they like. I see an athletic, tough kid. He has a good nose for the football. I don't like this. This is a missed assignment here. Wink has a good defense called. We're slanting the defense to the left, and we're bringing this guy late. This guy is coming late, so he should be on the quarterback for what they're running here. And Guy should be killing the dive back right here because we're bringing the defense. But that doesn't happen. You have a misassignment. You have two guys on the quarterback, and nobody's on the no one's on the back. It's just 6 yard gain. It should be nothing. You follow me?
I do.
Because as an edge player, you know, Denny, the first time I heard this line was Coach McCartney my freshman year. You got to know where your help is, and you got to know the scheme and what the hell's going on. So if I'm an edge player here, see, he should know right now that this guy is coming off the edge and he's taking the quarterback. So Guy should be coming flat. I don't know why he's widening out. He should be coming flat, killing that dive back. He should be killing it right here for a 2 yard loss. And then we're screwed up. See, again, you got two guys. There's a missed assignment right there.
Yeah. Now I can see it now.
That's a missed assignment. That's 6 yards, and it should be a 2 yard loss. And this is the kind of game you knock a quarterback out of the game. If this can be a turnover play. You drill the running back, right? Anyway, it's jacked up. So those are, again, that's a mental mistake. So if you're competing to try to be a starter, they see everything. This is iron sharpening iron, man. Steel sharpening steel. I look at number 8 going against 54. This is how you get good, man.
Sprague and Derek Moore. Yeah, that's it.
They look at the matchup there on pass rush. This is how you get good. This is when you go against the best. And Sprague is hanging tough. He's going to be our starting right tackle, in my opinion. He's a big kid. That kid is 6'8". He's a highly recruited kid, and Moore was high. Anyway, good job by both of them. But this is how you get better. 55 in here. I think he's going to be the starter at right guard. Fobi,
yeah.
I didn't see him make many mistakes on pass protection. Ain't nothing happening there above him. He's holding that point of attack. And now you look down here at the bottom. This is what I like about Link. I think Link's going to be the starter at the left tackle. He's an athletic kid, man. TJ Guy is rushing him. And you see Link here. He's got good feet, man. TJ Guy tries to take an inside go, and Link moves his feet and picks it up. That's tough to do. So, yeah. And this is how you get good, though, Danny. You go against good players, man. So then when you get in the game against Oklahoma, it's like, man, I'd rather go against this Oklahoma kid than go against Moore. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I got you.
Hopefully that's what you get. I didn't like this adjustment on defense. What do I see here? 42, number 8, 26. We're under center, Danny. So we've been under center. We've been shotgun. So Skip is in town, but we're still under center, man. There's Jim Harbaugh stuff hanging around still. You got it?
Is this the one he drops?
I don't know, but I don't like the adjustment.
Okay.
Look at the pre-snap. Do you see something wrong? Do you like this adjustment? This is what defensive coaches. This is the stuff that really matters. You can recruit great players. You can lift weights, and you can teach guys how to take on double teams and all this. But you see this big hole in here. I don't like.
I do see that. I see it.
Okay, so pre-snap again. It doesn't look great pre-snap. Maybe Wink has an answer, but they really don't have an answer. And we get ripped in there, and it's nothing. It's not that we got guys that screwed up. It's a schematic bullshit adjustment is what it is.
Okay.
So this is what you why you spend all that time looking at film. Like, how am I going to adjust to this as a coach? But we get a good block by 42. This kid is going to have a good year for Michigan. The hell's his name?
42 for the Blue.
Yeah, the tight end. He played well.
Oh yeah, that's Jalen Hoffman.
Yeah, he does a good. He's sealing out. He's sealing out more here, and he's a tough kid. And they threw the ball to him a little bit. He's going to be him and Klein. We're going to have some tight ends that can block and catch. And then I like Benny on this play. This is a Mason Graham almost type play. Watch Benny here. Denny, he's right here. He's going to punch and almost make this play. This is hard to do. Watch him punch, throw the guy. You see how he almost makes that play?
Yeah.
That's really hard to do, man. And he's almost there, but this is impressive. Punch, throw him, make the play. So if I'm looking at this adjustment, I would have had more play with inside control here to play this gap, because you got two guys out here already on defense. You follow me? You got too much defense out here. Not enough in this gap. So that's a poor adjustment from the coaches. But I got to give our offensive coaches credit. They see it. You know what I mean? They're on they saw it up in the box. However they're doing it, it's like we're gonna put salt on the wound. They saw the bullshit adjustment, and we're going to attack it. So This kid doesn't do a good job here. I don't like this is old school formation right here, man. This is 1980.
Power up. Yep.
This is 1980 Michigan, man. Johnny Wangler, under center. I-backs, Stanley Edwards, Butch Wolfall.
All right.
All right, I-back. This is the same defense we ran, 1980, man. Mike Turkovac. You got it. Andy Canavino, Paul Gear, same front, both sides of the ball. I-backs, under center, 3-4, 5-2 defense, same stuff. Nothing changed. And they're running the power play. And I don't like the way this kid takes his block on. And I don't like this guy down here. I mean, what the hell? The play should be a dead play.
He didn't take that shoulder the way he's supposed
to.
No,
Danny, I always talk, I don't like this guy. He should be meeting this player here, but this guy down here, okay, right now, he should be left shoulder tackle. This guy should be thinking left shoulder tackle.
Definitely.
Okay, and I also have Clint down here. You heard me talk about Clint Eastwood, right?
No.
Magnum force. A man has got to know his limitations. You remember that movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I quoted that guy all the time in practice when we looked at film. So what I mean by that is this. Okay, he's coming up, right? Left shoulder tackle. So here's what this guy has to understand. You have to always know this as a player. How fast am I and how fast is this guy? That means, like, how much respect am I going to give him to make sure that ball comes back to these dudes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A man has to know his limitations. So this guy, he's coming up with no discipline, and it should have been a dead play because he's got three guys inside of him that are counting on him to kick the ball into the defense, and he lets it outside. That's got nothing to do with talent. That's just, you got to know what the hell you're doing. Hayes set him up. So that kid would have got ripped in film session. I guarantee you that. This is the stuff that gives me confidence, Denny, for this freshman. I know it's just a short pass. It's just a boom. But look at the accuracy. Look at the confidence. The laser beam throw, man.
I like that throw.
You know, what is that, a 12-yard out? 8-yard out cut. It's just accurate, man. It's on the money. It's accurate. I haven't seen this kid throw too many inaccurate balls for the gimmies. We got to have the gimmies.
Yeah, he looked good on those.
You know, and then he didn't, you know, what did he miss that were wide open guys? I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at this. What is it? It's end of the half. I got number 8 circled. What's he doing here? Getting pressure. 54-8 going at it. I see more of this, Denny. This is something different from Chip. He likes to have these backs block. Chip on guys.
Chip likes to chip.
Chip likes to chip. I'd like to see some pass rush from TJ Guy down here. Is this Link again? Can you see this number?
Well, that will be 72 in the blue, the 71 in the blue. That's Link.
Yes, Link, yeah. He looks good, man. He's going to be older, bigger, stronger. He moves his feet. Another good, you know, laser beam, man. And that's Goodwin. So yeah, we got to complete the gimmies, man.
Yeah, those back-to-back throws were that drive was his best one, Underwood.
You know, there's nothing here, but this is in a game he's going to run. He might take off and run. Here's under center. I don't like this guy here. This guy's lost.
Where at?
You probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. This dude right here. He's got to contain the quarterback, man. Watch him. You know, he don't know where the football is. He would have got shredded in practice in the film session. You see him? What number is that?
I don't know. He didn't. I see what you're talking about, though.
This dude right here. What's his number? You tell? You got to find the football. He's got to contain, man. That's your number one job where he is right there. He's got to contain. He should be right up in here. Make this quarterback, and he don't know where the hell the ball is. And this guy's got good coverage. Everybody's covered. This guy's covered. This guy's covered. But in a game, you'd like to see our quarterback run there, but they probably told him not to here.
I think that was Baxter.
Oh, this is, Danny, I'm going to cover this next week. This is the start of the second half.
Okay.
So we're all good
sneak
here.
Preview?
Yeah, we'll get it. We've got, we got two more sessions. I'm going to just divvy it up quarter at a time and not beat it up. But
I got two questions for you, Scar. One is that I noticed people talking about Evan Link. Well, so, Link started 12 games last year. And the first half dozen games or so, you get the Pro Football Focus grades, and they couldn't have been any worse in terms of him.
Danny, hang on. Time out. I have to ask this question. Who the hell does a Pro Football? What is it? Who does that grade?
Former players like yourself.
They look at film and they evaluate a kid.
Yeah, every snap. I think they give you the evaluation tool. I don't know if they go minus.
It's football people. It's not some guy like
players.
Kornheiser.
Yeah, no, it's
not Paul Feinbaum. Those type of dudes.
No, I think there are guys that played. I don't know if they have a list.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, the first half dozen games he was really bad, and then there were some. He kind of flipped it around where then he made some strides in the run game, and then it looked like his pass grades, I don't know, a little bit incomplete, but against Ohio State, it's just this whole thing. Like he was like Sherrod Moore or Michigan season against Ohio State and against Alabama. He graded out pretty well, so he's got something to hang his hat on, and he's got those 12 starts. But after spring practice was over, when Sharon was asked about who his five were, he was like, Sprague. Sprague's going to be one of them. And he mentioned that the center was going to be Crippen. And so he had those two guys penciled in, and El Hadi. But then he was like, yes, but, there's going to be competition at left tackle. So everybody's like, Link's no good, or they need to go to the transfer portal and get a guard. Well, they got a guard coming from Ferris State that wasn't in for spring. Norton was from Cal Poly, but Hattar was not. So they do have someone coming out, and they could take one of those guys that were the guards and move him out to left tackle. But I don't think.
You know what I think, Danny?
Go ahead. When you hear all that, that's what I want to
tell. Let me tell you what is probably really happening.
Right.
And this is a better situation. First of all, let's take Link last year's performance. Okay, anybody that played probably wasn't worth a damn their first couple games, like I wasn't until about mid-season. Okay, so he improved. He had the most important block in that Ohio State game, the one that sprung Mullings on that long run. Okay, he had the most important block. Anyway,
and he did improve. That's a really good point.
So anyway, here's the deal with him. He's a better player than he was in the fall. But what might be happening is some of those transfers we brought in might be that damn good that they're challenging him. Okay, so we have a good situation there. It's not that Link took a step back. It's that he's being faced with more competition because of the some of the transfers that came in, or some, maybe there's some improvements from some other guys. So overall, it's probably a good situation for Michigan.
Well, also, Scar, you're thinking that, so you take the tackle position and guard. You say that El Hadi's good, and you say Sprague's good, but all of those other guys, you're talking about competition. If you just went ahead and said, yeah, it's going to be Link and it's going to be Fabi, well, those other guys might say, well, hell, I'm out of here. I'm going to hit the transfer.
There you go. So that's another part of the psychology.
Right. There's
of
another
why these coaches never name a quarterback until after. You don't think Jim purposely waited for like game 3,
right,
with McNamara and all that. He didn't want nobody getting in the. He has to have a backup quarterback. You still have to have a backup quarterback. You can't make that decision now and then lose your second string kid.
Yeah, if there's a narrative after the spring game, it's been the narrative even before the spring game, is that Michigan needs a left tackle and Michigan needs wide receivers. Well, they've got guys coming in the fall in both of those positions. They got a Simpson kid that was at UMass. You'd say, hey, I don't know, maybe he will be something, maybe he'll be nothing. But they do have someone coming in at wide receiver. And they do have somebody coming in via the transfer portal from the kid from Ferris State, Lawrence Hattar.
Yeah, I think Sharon Moore has addressed the concerns. You know, the fans see it. Sharon Moore sees it, and we've addressed the receiver room. We've addressed the quarterback room. I think our running back room will be better than it was last year because we just got tough kids back there.
The other part that I wanted to ask you is about, Wink's defense. And you say, this is what Wink's doing. And, this was the defense that Minner ran and Mike McDonald. And then listening to some of the guys last year, because he had changed all the terminology. And
is that what the kids said, that Wink changed the terminology from McDonald?
Makari Page, when he was asked before they started the summer phase, or was in the summer phase, said, hey, this is the same defense. And he said, no, everything's different. Everything's different. The terminology is different. The check's different. He's like, so.
Okay, but you know what, Denny? I hear what he's saying. The terminology might be different, but when I look at the product, when I look at the scheme, I don't see much. I don't see a difference between McDonald, Minter, and what I'm seeing last year from Wink.
Yeah, well, Wink talked about it, and Wink said, yeah, I call this something, and, Jesse.
I don't understand why. I don't understand why Wink, I would have tried it as a coach. It's a hell of a lot easier for one guy to learn the damn terminology that Minter was using than for all 60 players.
Well, that's what I thought. And after the Texas game, that was the one thing, Makari Page was, again, it's like, we just got a little confusion with our checks and some of our terminology. But it was like they got it by the time, game 6, they got more comfortable. So that was, you just answered it. Why not Wink adapting to the players instead of the players adapting to him? But when you have, you would think if you just had a blank canvas and you were a defensive coordinator, you would run a defense like Wink, being, hey, let's have movement everywhere. Let's, sometimes send the left corner and back out the defensive tackle. The downside could be is that you really have to have smart players. When do you know? My question to you is, when do you know? They did all these different things in spring. Is that they will evaluate and say, well,
oh yeah, Denny, listen, man, you are put. That's why, that's why Michigan. You put guys under stress. You put them under stress. You evaluate them. The 15 practices. You're constantly challenging them mentally and physically. You got to find out which guys you can put out there to make the right adjustments, because there's guys I played with, I think, that didn't play as soon as they probably could have physically. They had physical talents to do it, but they maybe didn't get the adjustments as quick as other guys.
What do you think the chance is? Moose says Babalo is raw, but he'll be ready by fall, and he's more talented than Link. So what do you think?
Well, we'll see. I mean, the coaches are going to see it. They're going to see. That's a good point. They're going to see. You're going to see who can pass protect better. The mental part of it. Who's going to run block and move dudes? Who's going to pass protect and do all those little things? Those guys are going to, Big Grant will make that decision. I know when I played, Denny, I told you this. My coach decided who played at my position. The outside, the edge coach decided who started and played at the edge. I believe that, the same thing is going on now, that, Big Grant is deciding who plays in the offensive line. You hear him talk, he's making those decisions. So he sees every single thing these guys are doing in practice. He knows everybody's weaknesses. He knows everybody's strengths. He's not going to put some kid in a game who's going to make a mental mistake and get his ass ripped by the head coach. You know what I mean? So, my coaches understood that, that if a kid's when I was coaching and I saw Bo do the same thing, Bo didn't yell at the kid. He yelled at the assistant coach. You know what I mean? I'm not going to yell at the kid if he's making mistakes. I'm going to the coach. What the hell's he doing? He don't know what he's doing. Something's wrong. You know what I mean? We're making mental mistakes. So that's all part of spring football, Danny. You're figuring out, mentally, physically, stress, adjustments, who's going to get in the right spot.
Well, it was like Eastwood said in High Plains Drifter, Scar. He's got a very strict gun policy. If there's a gun around, I want to be in control of it.
Danny, that was the greatest line from Magnum Force, man. A man has got to know his limitations. So if I'm going against a certain dude, like I lined up as an edge player, and I would scout, look at the film all week, and I know that if there's certain teams or certain tight ends, I'm going to align a certain way. If the guy's pretty damn good and they run the sweep, I might have to widen out a little bit more in my stance. You follow me?
Yeah.
If he's not that good, I can maybe tighten up more, and it'll help me play the inside run better. So everything is based on how good is that other guy, in terms of how you're attacking things. So you better know, the strengths and weaknesses of who you're going against.
Remember, tomorrow is promised to no one. Absolute power. Clint Eastwood.
We got quotes today. All right, Denny, we're in May, and these guys are running and lifting, and it's a different deal, man. They report a hell of a lot sooner. They're down there like early July. It ain't like back in my day, 3 weeks before the first game. No, man, they're down there, and they're going to be going, pretty heavy here pretty soon.
I love it. We all love football. Even on, May the 12th, we're sitting here talking about it, and it's
the report, Denny. The report I want to get, hopefully from some sources, is that Mikey Keene looks good. He's healthy and he's strong, and he's back there with the 5-star. And Jaden Davis is looking good. I want to know that we have 3 real good, healthy quarterbacks going into the season. That's what I want to hear. Okay, I'm just telling you right now.
That would be music to my ears as well, Scar.
I don't want to hear about just 2 quarterbacks that the guy's banged up still. I want to know about 3. We got a long season. You want to run your quarter anyway. That's what I want to hear. So whenever that information gets out, I want to hear that.
I'll be looking for it. More on the Maize and Blue review. Great job, Scar. We look forward to talking with you next week.
All right, Denny. Go Blue.
All right, take care. There he is, Jim